Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to tackle a really common real-world problem in Lightning Web Components. How in the world do you get different components to talk to each other, especially when they're not in a neat parent-child relationship?
So, it all boils down to this one simple question, right? But the answer? Well, it can get complicated pretty fast. How exactly do components pass messages and data back and forth?
You know, when you've got that classic parent-to-child setup, life is good. Passing data down is a piece of cake. But the moment you have components sitting side by side as siblings, well, that's when you start scratching your head. That's where things get tricky.
All right, so let's really dig into what we mean by this sibling problem. We're talking about any situation where there isn't that direct top-down connection. And believe me, this happens way more often than you'd think in real apps.
And you're going to run into this everywhere. Just picture it. You've got two different components on the same Lightning page. Or maybe they're siblings you've built into your own custom layout. Heck, they could be in completely different corners of the screen. The point is, they have no direct line of communication.
So what's the fix? How do we solve this? Well, there's a really elegant and super powerful solution for this called the publisher's subscriber pattern. You'll probably hear people call it pubsub for short.
The big idea here is actually pretty simple. The components just stop talking directly to each other. Instead, one component, the publisher, just shouts its message into a central hub, something we call an event bus. Then, any other component, a subscriber, that's interested in that message can just listen in and grab it. They're completely disconnected from each other.
To make this super clear, just think of it like a community message board. One component goes up to the board and says, hey, I want to subscribe to any news on the new update channel. A little later, some other component comes along and posts a note to that exact same new update channel. What happens? Instantly, our first component gets the message and knows exactly what to do.
Okay, theory is great, but how do we actually build this message board? Well, in the LWC world, it all starts with creating a single shared JavaScript file. Most folks just call it pubsub.js.
So the first key piece of our event bus is the subscribe function. Think of this as a component raising its hand and saying, hey, I want you to tell me whenever this specific event happens. It basically signs up for a notification and tells the event bus what to do when it hears something.
And on the flip side, you've got the publish function. This is the component that grabs the megaphone. It calls publish, names the event it's shouting about, and passes along some data. The event bus then looks at its list and triggers the action for every single component that's subscribed to that event.
All right, the bus is built. Now for the fun part. Let's actually plug our components in and watch them have a conversation using these exact functions.
This slide really lays it all out. Look at the left side. The publisher component has some code that calls pubsub.publish, sending out an event name and whatever data it wants. Now look at the right. The subscriber uses its connected callback, which means this runs as soon as the component is on the page, to call pubsub.subscribe and say, I'm listening for that exact event name.
And just like that, it works. That's the magic right there. We've just successfully built a communication bridge between two components that, for all they know, are total strangers to each other. They have no idea the other one even exists.
Okay, knowing how to build this is one thing, but the mark of a really great developer is knowing when and why to use it. So let's talk about where this pattern really shines.
And this is not some abstract academic idea. You see this pattern in the wild all the time. Think about a dashboard where one filter component needs to tell 5 different charts to update themselves, or a search bar in the header that has to show its results in a component way down in the main body. These are absolutely perfect use cases for pubsub.
Now, a quick word of warning. With great power comes great responsibility, right? Pubsub is awesome, but it shouldn't be the first tool you reach for. Only use it when that direct parent-child communication just isn't an option. Make your event name super clear and unique so you don't cause chaos, and try not to overuse it because a web of hundreds of events can become a nightmare to debug.
And that brings us to the big final question. We've seen how powerful this is, but is pubsub the silver bullet for every communication problem? The answer is no, absolutely not. It's a specific tool for a specific problem. If a simpler pattern works, you should always use that one. Knowing when to pull out a powerful tool like this, and more importantly, when to leave it in the toolbox, that's what really separates the pros.